this is the conceptual question for vectors. Number 12 is, the number is number 12. Please read carefully each questions. You will find the answer to each question. So this is the first page. You can make a screenshot, maybe. Also, you have it on conceptual question for vectors. In Canvas, you have a PDF. Let's go to do this problem. There are 5 problems here. There are 5 problems. Let's go to. So let's go. So the first problems. Well, first of all, let's go to review vectors. When we say that we have a magnitude A that is a vector have a magnitude and a direction. And a vector can be written like something in the x direction. Instead of putting the x, is usually all the textbooks, they write I with a cap. This means the I direction, the x direction. So 3 meters, if you want a vector position, it will be 3 meters in the x direction, plus maybe ay 4 meters in the j direction. And the j direction is in the y positive axis. So the vector A equals 3 meters in the x direction plus 4 meters in the y direction is the vector x, y, 1, 2, 3, 3i is this vector, 3 times I. And the I is a unitary vector. This is the I. So 3 times I is this part. And you sum with another part, 4j, in the j direction, 1, 2, 3, and 4. When you sum 3i, 1, 2, and 3i, with 4j, 1, 2, 3, and 4, you obtain the vector A. So the vector A can be written always in this form, AXI, AX in the x direction, AY in the y direction. So the vector I is in the positive direction of x, and the vector J is in the positive direction of the axis y. Minus I goes in the opposite direction of positive I. So this is minus I is going in this direction. Minus I. Minus I. And J is, minus J is going in the negative direction as J. So this is minus J. So minus Y is this vector. It's the vector that goes in the opposite direction of I, minus I. J. So first problem, read it carefully, think it about, and come back in a moment to review the problem. The problem say I'll give you AX, this amount, plus 75, plus 7.6, and I give you AY minus 6.4. It say, what is the magnitude of A closest to? I'll give you 2 minutes to think about it. Well, the magnitude of A is AX squared plus AY squared square root. So the magnitude of A is close to 10. And the calculation is here. And the problem is done. How you will write the vector? The vector A is the vector AX in the I direction plus AY in the J direction. What is this vector? AX, 7.6 in the I direction plus 6.4 in the minus j direction. So I will erase here, and I will write like this. And this is the vector 7.6 in the I direction, minus 6.4 in the j direction. Now we go to the second question. Please read carefully and think about it, try to solve it, and come back. Okay, this question say, I give you the vector, the components of the vector. If you give me the component of the vector, you give me the vector. The two components of the vector, they say 6.1 in the x direction and 8.6 in the j direction. And it say the angle measured in degrees through the x-axis, this angle, how much is it? So how I will solve this problem? Well, to solve this problem, I will find the tangent of the angle, the tangent of this angle theta. The tangent of this angle is this divided by this. The opposite divided by the adjacent. So it will be the tangent of 8.6 divided by 6.1 is 1.409. And theta is arctangent of 1.409. So you have to be sure that you put this in radians maybe, or you put it in degrees, and it will give you 54 degrees. So this angle is 54 degrees. And what angle is this one? This one is everything 360 minus 54. So the angle alpha is 306. So the vector A can be written in two ways. A can be written like AX I plus AY J. So A can be written AX 6.1. 6.1 in the I direction plus AY minus 8.6 minus 8.6 in the J direction. And the other way that you can write the same vector is to write like this: A equal magnitude of A cosine of the angle alpha in the I direction plus magnitude of A sine of the angle alpha in the J direction. So let's go to right. In the first case, I have this vector A. In the second case, I should have the same vector A. A will be magnitude of A, according to what I have calculated, the magnitude of A is 6 squared plus 8.6 squared, so it will be 37 plus 73, it will be 10.5. So magnitude of A, 10.5. Cosine of the angle alpha is not theta what we are looking, it's alpha. 3 cosine 306 in the I direction plus magnitude of A 10.5 sine of 306 in the J direction. And remember that it's in degree and your calculator have to be in degree to make this calculation. So I challenge you now to prove that this A and this A is the same one. I'm trying to prove that this is plus 6.4 in the I direction. And I try to challenge you to see if this is minus 8.6 in the J direction. So it's the same vector. So there are two ways to write the vector. One is the direct way, using the components, and the other way is to see the angle alpha. Let's go to the next problem. Please read the problem, think about it, and come back soon, please. So this problem say, I give you the vector. So they give me the vector AX, AY, so they give me the vector A. And also they give me Vx and Vy, so they give me the vector V. So I can write the vector A and I can write the vector V. Later on, I can write the vector V minus A. And they are asking for the magnitude of this vector, the length of the vector V minus A. And they say if it's something like this. Let's go to do it. So the first thing that I will do is to write the vector A. Let's go to write the vector A. The vector A is written here. Well, I have to make a picture of the vector, but the vector A is written here, 7.6 minus 9.4 in the j direction, 7.6 in the I direction, and the vector V is this vector. How do we subtract two vectors? V minus A is not A minus V, it's V minus A. We take the component of the first one, minus 5.1, and it's V minus A, so I did it incorrectly because I did A minus V. You see, A minus V. I did A minus V, so I did it incorrectly, but the result will be the same. Why it will be the same? Because the magnitude, the length of the vector V minus A and the length of the vector A minus B will be the same. Okay, so I will not worry by my mistake, so you will correct the mistake, and the mistake would say that the vector V minus A is not this one. It's the opposite. Oh, so the vector V minus A will be minus 12.5 plus 2.4j. So now you do it again, you redo it, you correct me, and you will find that the vector V minus A is minus 12.7 in the I direction plus 2.4 in the j direction. And what is the magnitude of this vector? The magnitude of this vector is the length, and the length is this square plus this square root. So you do it and you see what is the result, and you mark the correct answer. You make the calculations. Okay, let's go to the next question. The questions say the vector V and C are given as follows. They give you the component of Vx, the components y of the vector V, and the same for Cx and Cy. It says the angle between V and C in degree is closest to. So to find the angle of two vectors, you need to check the dot product. The dot product of two vectors will tell you what is the angle between the two vectors, or maybe you can do it in another way, but maybe this is the right way. The dot product of two vectors is defined like the magnitude of the first by the magnitude by the second by the cosine of the angle that they made. And the cosine of the angle that they made, if I know, I will know the angle. I will be able to find the angle. So the other part of the equation, the V dot C, the dot product of these two vectors is the component Vx Cx, the x components of V multiplied by the x component of C, plus the y component of V multiplied by the y component of C. So the equation is that this is equal to this. So this is equal to this part. So magnitude of V multiplied by the magnitude of C, the length of V multiplied by the length of C cosine of alpha is equal to this part. So I can solve by cosine of alpha because all the data is here. I can solve it. So cosine of alpha will be bxcx plus bycy divided by the magnitude of V multiplied by the magnitude of C. If I plug in numbers, Vx is minus 9.2, Cx is minus 6.1, Vy. So I will have a number. Let's say that the number should be less than 1, of course. Less than 1 between minus 1 and 1, because the cosine of the angle is always between minus 1 and 1. So alpha, let's say that the number gives you 0.87. So alpha will be r cosine of 0.87. So use your calculator and find the angle. Good luck. Let's go to the next question. There is another way to do it. I'm going to tell you what is the other way to do it, not using the dot product. Let's say that you have a vector A. And let's say that you find this angle theta. Let's say theta 1. And let's say that you have this vector V. And let's say that you find this angle, theta 2. What will be the angle between them? The angle theta between them will be theta 2 minus theta 1. So you can do the problem in different way. You can find the angle that they make with the x-axis and make the subtraction, and you will find the angle between them. Okay, next problem. Okay, please read the question carefully and try to answer and come back. Okay, this problem say I have two vectors. One vector has 2 units and is directed to the north, so it's in the j direction. So the vector A, the first vector, have the magnitude 2 and is in the north, in the j direction, going up. The second vector have unit 5 and is directed to the south, so it's going the j direction, but to the south is minus 5j. Calculate the magnitude of A minus V. A minus V is the vector A minus the vector V. The vector A is 2j. The vector V is minus 5j. A minus V is 2j plus 5 is, sorry, the vector, yes, it's true. So the vector is 5j, 2j plus 5j is 7j. So the vector A is here. The vector V is minus 5j. And the vector A minus V is the vector that goes from the head of V to the head of A. Oh, so it will have units 5 here and 2 here. It will have 7 in the j direction. In the j direction. I hope it's clear. Or the other way to look at this problem is the vector A is 2j. And the vector minus V, the vector V is minus 5j, but the vector minus B is 5j. This is the vector minus V is 5j. So 2j and minus plus 5j, that is minus V. So A minus V is 7j. And the problem is solved because it's A plus this other vector with this vector is the sum, and the sum is 7j. Okay, let's go to the next problem. Please read carefully and come back with the answer. Okay, in this problem we have 3 vectors. They give you the magnitude of B, the magnitude of A is 8. They give you also the magnitude of C, that is 6. And they give you the angles that they made. One possibility, it will be to use this system of reference to solve the problem, maybe to use this system of reference. This one, oh, sorry, this one, maybe this one, and this one, the y-axis. But maybe, and to look for the angle, but maybe it will be simple if you rotate the figure and you put the figure like this. This is the vector v, this is the vector c that makes an angle of 70 degrees up. And this is the vector a that makes an angle of 70 degrees minus 70 degrees through the minus 40 degrees, sorry, through the x-axis. That is equivalent, minus 40 degrees is equivalent to plus 360 minus 40. It's equivalent to 340 degrees. So minus 40 is the angle that A does with B, and also is the angle, this angle alpha. Oh, this is the angle that B does with the positive x-axis. So the problem says, what is the magnitude of S? The magnitude of S is the sum of A plus B plus C, A plus B plus C. So I will make the sum in this picture that it will be easy. So when I make the sum, I have a total amount in the I direction and a total amount in the J direction. What will be the total amount of the vector S in the X direction? Well, I see the V in the X direction, so this is 5 magnitude. I see 6, but this 6 is not in the X direction. And how much is in the X direction? 6 cosine of 70. 6 cosine of 70 is in the positive X direction. And I see also 8, but 8 is not in the X direction. How much of this 8 is in the X direction? 8 cosine of 40. 8 cosine of 40. So the total amount that is in the X direction is the 5, the 8 cosine of 40, and the 6 cosine of 70. Now let's go to do it in the Y direction. In the Y direction, I see 6 sine of 70. The sine is this part, okay? 6 sine of 70 is this height. Okay, so to calculate Sy, I would see how much are in the Y direction. The B doesn't produce anything in the Y direction. The V is completely lie down on the X direction. So I will not take care for the Y direction for the V, but I will take care for the C that have 6. But the total amount that are on the Y direction is not 6, is 6 sine of 70. And what is the total amount that is on the Y direction due to the vector A is 8, this part, 8 sine of 40. So this part is what is in the Y direction, or this part is the same one. So as you see, is a negative quantity because it's going in the negative direction. So I should write a negative sign here, and now it's correct. Now the amount of units that are in the J direction are 6 sine of 70 due to C and minus 8 sine of 40 due to A. And due to B, there is nothing to add. So what is the magnitude of the vector? The magnitude of the vector is this square, ax squared, this is ax, and this is ay, or this is sx, the sum, the component x of the vector, and sy, square root. And this is the magnitude, this is the length. This is Pythagoras theorem. So if you calculate, you can see what is the answer, the correct answer in the problem that I really don't know because I didn't do the calculation. But I suppose looking at the picture and doing some graph, some geometrical sum, maybe I can get 16 or 19, maybe, but I'm not sure. You have to calculate this thing, with the minus sign here. With the minus sign here, with the correction that we did, because this is the amount that is in the y direction. So this is Sx. Sx, so the magnitude of S is a square root of Sx squared plus Sy squared. And the problem is solved. Okay. Please read carefully, try to solve the problem, and come back. Okay, this problem I'm going to leave you for you to solve. You can solve the sum, and you can do the same procedure that I did in the last problem. So this is 59, this is V58, and this is C. Well, whatever, you do it, I'm sure you can do it. Read this problem, think about it, try to solve it, and come back. Okay, this problem say graphical addition vector m and n obey to the following equation: m plus n equals 0. The only way that m plus n equals 0 is that m equal minus n. So if m is equal minus n and m is in this direction with certain magnitude, n should be in the opposite direction with the same magnitude but in the opposite direction. It says that m is equal to minus n. Oh, so let's go to do it again. M is equal to minus n. N is like this. So minus n is like this. This is what it says, the equation. So vector m and n have the same magnitude. This is the only, read all the options. I think C is the only option. Let me read it. The magnitude is the negative. The magnitude of m, the parts D say the magnitude of m is the negative of the magnitude of n. This is completely wrong because the magnitude of a vector is something that is positive because it's the square root of ax squared plus ay squared. And ax squared is positive, and ay squared is positive, and the sum is positive, and the square root exists. So the magnitude of a vector is always positive. And what it say part A say vector m and n point in the same direction, incorrect. Vector m and n are at right angle each other, no, incorrect. So the part C is the correct one. Please read carefully, try to solve the problem, and come back. This question is just for you to solve. No problem. I know you can solve it. Please read carefully, try to solve the problem, and come back. And these questions say graphical addition. Consider two vectors A and V. So these are the two vectors, the A and the V. Now the problem is asking if this is the two vector, which one is the vector A minus V? Well, if this is there are two ways of solving this question. If this is the vector A and this is the vector V, what is the vector A minus V? First step, I will take A and the tail of A I will put it with the tail of B. So A and B. And I will say A minus V is equal to the vector that I have to add to V to obtain the A. So if this is V, the vector that I have to add to V is the vector A minus V. And now, if this is the sum, well, let's go to do it. V. So this vector V plus A minus V. Oh, this vector A minus V is equal to what? Well, V and V cancel is equal to A. So this is the vector A minus V. So in the picture, I think that this is the correct answer. C. Okay. These are more questions for you to solve. So you can make a screenshot of your screen, and maybe you can answer these questions. You can test yourself like this is an exam for you. And also, you can do the same. These are 6 questions. Try to solve it, and it's exactly the same that we have done. And solve also these 9 questions. So this is a homework for you to do, to solve all these questions. Good luck, and anything, you let me